Hello, welcome to Tasting a Platter. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make the irresistible classic Italian bread, focaccia. If you look at this dough, you can see it is similar in style and texture to that of a pizza dough. So let's look at the ingredients. So first thing, you need a flour. I recommend you use unbleached all-purpose flour. Number 2, you need a generous amount of extra virgin olive oil. Number 3, you need yeast, and it can be active yeast or you can use instant yeast. Number 4, water. So now let's start making the dough. Here I'm taking 2 cups of all-purpose flour. You do not have to measure it or level. You can roughly take 2 cups of all-purpose flour. And once you have the flour, we can now season the flour by adding some salt. I'm adding about 1 teaspoon of sea salt. Now it's time to add yeast. If you're using instant yeast, I recommend to use 1 teaspoon. Here I'm using half teaspoon measuring spoon. So you'll see me add it twice. If you're using active yeast, I recommend you use 1 and 1/4 of a teaspoon. Now we have all the dry ingredients. Let's mix them together just to make sure everything is well incorporated. Okay, now it's time to add water. So this water I'm adding is about 1 cup, and it has to be at a 70 to 80 degree Fahrenheit. So now let's mix everything together with the spatula, and the dough will be very wet, almost like a cake mix. If you find the dough sticking too much, wet your hand and that might help. Don't be shy, just use your hands, bring them all together, combine everything, and once you have it ready, drizzle some olive oil just to make sure that the dough doesn't get dry. Generous amount of olive oil. Again, this recipe needs a lot of olive oil. Okay, now cover it with a cling film and keep it aside to ferment. We are looking to have the dough double in size. Now this is how it looks after about 4 hours, I would say. It has doubled in size, and you can see I'm removing the cling film, and I'm so happy to see this, honestly. That is so beautiful. So for this recipe, we have to let the dough rise at least 3 times. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the dough outside and fold it in a few times, just the way I'm doing here. And again, we are going to let it rest for another 2 hours. So you can cover it with a cling film. So now that I'm going to wait for our dough to rise a second time, I'm going to get my pan ready, and I'm adding some semolina just on the bottom of the pan, and drizzle some olive oil. Now I'm going to transfer the fermented dough back into this pan and drizzle it with some olive oil again. So after transferring the dough into the baking pan, I let it rest there for almost 1 hour. Now we are going to do the fun stuff. We are making focaccia dimples. So the purpose of doing that is to reduce the air in the dough and to prevent the bread from rising too quickly. Now let's talk about the flavoring focaccia bread. The common flavors are sea salt, pepper, and olive oil. I'm using some cherry peppers, cherry tomatoes, rosemary, and sea salt with some poppy seeds. Now let's bake the bread. You can bake it at 350 for about 20 to 30 minutes. And here is how it looks. Isn't that beautiful? So let's talk about how to freeze, how to store, and how to use it. So you can just have it like a snack. You can have it as a side dish. You can dip it in your soup, and you can even use it as a sandwich bread. If you're thinking of storing, keep it at room temperature, covered with a plastic wrap for about it will be good for 2 days. If you plan to freeze it, cut it in pieces, wrap it in a plastic wrap in a freezer bag, keep it in a freezer bag, and it'll be good for about a month. If you are planning to freeze the dough, you can freeze it for up to 3 months. So how to do it? After the dough rises in the mixing bowl, punch it down to release the air, coat it with a little olive oil, then cover and freeze it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you all for the support. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. And again, thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned, stay safe.